Alrighty, folks. Thank you for joining me for another podcast episode of Let's Talk About It. This series where we talk about those first couple of years removed from that music education experience. And so, another installment. This is episode three. So we'll keep trucking along in the series. I have another very good friend of mine. This one is grad school edition, my friend Anna Murcko, and I'll go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Well, hello. I'm glad to be here. So I currently teach middle school choir in Central Ohio, and a little bit of general music as well. This is my third year teaching in public schools. And before that, I did a full-time master's degree in choral conducting at BGSU, and that's where I met Aaron. And then before that, I had a gap year, and then I did my undergrad degree at Youngstown State University. So it's been a long time coming to actually start teaching once I got all the degrees done.
Awesome, yeah. So I wanted to get into it. So for this one, Anna is in Columbus, which is actually a city that I really like. Which I don't know if I can really say that working in Ann Arbor myself, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. But I wanted to talk to you about your experience because you have a pretty diverse teaching load, and so I know that's a little bit different than what you were initially kind of expecting and looking for. So I wanted to just kind of jump right in and kind of talk about that and how you've kind of handled that and what all that your teaching load entails. Like we talked about it a lot, but I wanted you to, of course, give the chance to give the specifics.
Yeah, so this is my third year teaching, as I mentioned, but every year I've had a different kind of teaching load. So when I got hired into this position, it was only a half-time position. It was for a brand new building, so I would be starting a brand new choir program. But they only had a small amount of kids actually signed up for choir, so they only made the position half-time. So I had half a salary, but I did have full benefits and everything, so at least that made it worth it. If it had not been full benefits, I would not have taken the job. So that first year, I taught 3 periods, one each of sixth, seventh, and eighth grade choir. And then the other half of the day, I was actually like an intervention like aide. So I worked with students with special needs and different contexts in the school the other half of the day. So that was like the start of that year, but also like because of the money side of things, I also took on a job at the same time at a Methodist church to be the director of music at a small Methodist church. So I was very busy, and that first year was like kind of pretty crazy, and as your first year always is, but a little extra crazy with not being able to just really focus on that one core, like one job, you know. Second year, I was a full-time position at my school, but I was split up between two different schools. So I still taught three middle school choir classes, one again, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. There was a second sixth grade added to the program. However, they gave that sixth grade class to the high school choir teacher, to my feeder program. So he had to come down in the middle of his day, teach 1 period of sixth grade choir, and then go back. And then I would leave and teach third and fourth grade general music at another elementary school. So that was year two. A little easier than year one in terms of the choir part, but overall being split half and half, did not like that. And the fact that I had a second kind of second almost like assistant director of that program, only teaching the one class, and it wasn't ever co-taught together. So that was just really logistically difficult to deal with. I just started my third year, and I'm teaching 4 middle school choir classes, and then just one class at a different elementary school of third grade at the end of my day. And so far, this is the best start that I've had by far to any of these school years. So I feel like I'm not teaching anything new, which is huge, and I am teaching all of the choir classes in my middle school, which helps for me to just know everything and to have it all on the same page. Um, and the third grades, like I really liked my classroom at my third grade. The other elementary school, I'm a different one than last year. It's actually twice as big as the other one was. Uh,
Ooh.
Yes, the other one was really small, like on a little stage space,
Hmm.
like cafetorium style, and this one is twice as big, and the class sizes are smaller, and it's just like way easier to do everything in that space. So, third year is looking up for
Okay,
sure.
that's good to hear. Nice, yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were also that first year and most of that second year, you were also doing show choir as well, right?
Yeah, so when after I had gotten board approved for the position the first year, um, I'm in a very large district with multiple high schools, and one of them does competitive show choir, and so that high school choir director said, "Hey, I heard you got hired, but it was part time. Do you need a little extra money? Here's a supplemental that I can give you if you want to help with the like high school show choirs." And I did that for 2 years, and it was fun, and I learned a lot. However, high school show choir is, if you do it competitively, it takes so much time and energy. It's insane. So I decided to not be an assistant director in that program starting this year. And I think it was definitely like the best decision I could have made for myself. That second year especially, I felt just spread way too thin, very stressed out chronically, and I just like knew I had to cut back in some way. So that is the big thing that I've kind of cut back with, and I've already felt a big difference by just not having that, not wearing that one hat, being able to take that off.
Nice, nice. So I guess my main and kind of first question is like, how the hell did you balance all three of those? Having, that outside job, the show choir, and then the very spread out workload because that is, I know like especially a lot of my friends, they work with at least like, maybe middle school and high school, or like maybe a little bit of elementary with middle school, but you were kind of, especially between the show choir, you were working with basically like that K through 12 ish setting, and then also with adults outside of that. So, like, how do you even begin to navigate all of that?
Well, it just carefully, and the thing is though, even when I was doing it, so I started, of course you just do what you just like have to. If you're involved with all the many things and you're doing it, you just have to figure it out. So there's a certain aspect of that, but I will say, and I'm used to being spread thin. Like in grad school, like I got my master's in choral conducting while I also got a certificate in vocal performance, and I was doing a lot of opera and conducting all this stuff, and I had kind of thought like because I'm so used to doing more than one thing, I could just keep doing that when I started teaching, and it really just was not the case because you're working with children. Like it wasn't just me, an adult who can be very organized, doing all my things, right, and being successful. I felt very successful in that grad school environment, except now I'm working with children who are much less organized and are much more challenging to work with because they're children.
Mhm.
Like you have to, you're teaching them how to be not just musicians, but just like human beings, like how to like put a folder away in your folder cabinet. Like that's a challenge for many of them. So, but yeah, so these first 2 years, I would say not even just second year, both of these years, I have felt really spread thin. I feel like I've learned a lot, but you know, I definitely felt successful in some ways, but I also felt like I was gypping myself. Like when I was successful in one area, I felt like another area suffered. And I never felt like I was really doing my best at everything. And that is ultimately, at least for my personality, like towards the end of the school year, it really just weighed on me. I was like, my middle school choirs were doing fine, but it's hard to make that program really shine and be super fantastic when that's not your main focus. And I really started to feel that in that second year, and I just went like, I mean, I could still keep doing everything. It's not that I couldn't have, but everything wasn't going to be to the level I wanted if I kept doing that. And I just was so exhausted, like all the time, and just like the wear and tear emotionally and just like physically, just like not being able to exercise the way I want, or just too tired to cook, so I eat out more, and just like so something, if you are that spread out, something is going to suffer, is kind of the point. Like, yeah, I pulled it all off, but I'm looking at just this, like, just the start of this third year where I felt much more refreshed and refocused has already gone just so much better. This, even just the first week, I've been able to tell, like, I can tell with myself, I'm like, I have made good decisions to make this better. And I think I'm going to feel happier as a teacher, like, way more focused on like just my day to day, like my middle school and that third grade, and then I still have my church job, but that is like much lower stress than school because I'm working up with adults and it's not the workload is
Lower
much
stakes, yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So and yeah, so I guess I did deal like you just figure it out and you're yes, I was doing all these things and there were some great things about it, but I also think that like I would caution anybody who is a beginner teacher or anytime you're doing a bunch of new things, like just be wary and pay attention to like what's slipping through the cracks when you have a bunch of change like that or you're trying a bunch of new things. Like, yeah, like I was this and I was, this assistant director and this and that. And I could put that all on a resume, but also my main point of teaching, which was middle school choir at that point, I also feel like that suffered some because you can only do so much. So, learned a lot, but I don't know. I'm already much happier just kind of being me in my building, doing my work. You know.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
I think like just in our own conversations, I can definitely tell over the years that's been a gradual change, like you said, being happier. Y'all have a tough load and constantly remind me that I was not meant for K through 12 teaching. Especially as I keep going through this series, and these first couple episodes have been educators, so um, y'all are really affirming me in that in that decision. But you also touched on a really interesting point that I've occasionally talked to other friends about, which is that kind of used to being stretched thin, especially in schooling. It is a different ballpark than professionally. I definitely think that a lot of people will have, like you mentioned, that you were doing the education side with directing choirs, but also doing the performance side of things. And I think in an educational house and shell, it's doable. It's stressful, it's tough, but it is mostly just you relying on your own self, and then as you mentioned, working with college students. So 80% of the time they want to be there. But even
Hmm.
then, they typically have the ability to like pull some stuff together, even if it is kind of last minute. You're not having to teach so much pedagogy, and more so just trying to get the ensemble together and maybe giving a couple tips here and there to certain sections. So I think that's a really interesting point that you brought up about the difference between being stretched in then, when you were really trying to push yourself, and now it's kind of shifted in like being stretched thin at a professional level is at a certain point kind of doing a disservice to people. So there is a transition that I feel like oftentimes we don't kind of talk about. And I have a lot of friends that, did everything under the sun, whether it was in undergrad or grad school. And then I'm kind of interested to talk with some of them about how that's been changing, about the fact that you just really can't do that, especially if you're directing a choir. And so I also wanted to ask you about a oh gosh, what was it? I just had it. Um, mm, I also wanted to ask you. It was something else that you had just said, which was oh gosh, I am so blanking right now. I'm gonna have to cut this little section. I'm gonna have to cut this little
Okay.
section. Um, oh gosh. Oh, I wanted to ask you. So, you are, I think, the first person that's kind of in a similar boat to me that is like in a new area. So I know you're an Ohio native, but the community is a bit different than what you've been expecting. So I've been really wanting to have this conversation about just like also navigating, a new teaching schedule, but also just being new in an area, developing friendships and things like that. Now you did you did have the church choir, and so you got to meet people organically through there. But just like making friends, non-musician or musician, like how has that been? Because I feel like that's something that I've mentioned before, and in another episode, but it can be something that it's one of those things that like you can't really prepare for. Nobody can really tell you about because it's a very unique experience wherever you go to a new area. So I always kind of like to talk about that too, because we both have talked a lot about like not having the easiest time finding people, and making new friendships and connections. So I wanted to kind of talk to you more about your experience with that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a little bit of a rocky road, honestly, and I think it's something that I'm still working on. I think like moving out here has made me realize why people stay in the same place.
That part, yes, I 100%
And
agree.
where I knock them, I used to think like if people just stay in the same place their whole life, like, ew, like why would you do that? Like da da da. And I still think people should get out for a while,
Hmm.
or like, but I will say like it is really hard to restart in a place where you don't really know people, And when I moved here, like I was at the time I was dating another music educator, and we both got jobs in the Columbus area, so I at least like knew him and do some people like with that. And then we at the towards the end of like my first year teaching here, we broke up, and I realized I was like, man, I don't have relationships to like back myself up right now. Like, I mean, I had good familial relationships. Like, I was able to call my mom. I was able to call you. You were wonderful. I have my best friend who was also not local. And so I had some people to call, people who cared about me, but I was like, damn, like I don't have people like here with me. Um, and I don't think I'd ever like, I felt very precarious, probably for the first time in my life. Typically I've been like a really confident, I know what I'm gonna do, I know where I'm gonna be, this is my life plan, like, amen, like, that's it, And coming here and being out of my comfort zone it has like I'll be totally honest, it has shook me to my core in a lot of ways over the past couple of years. Like, and I don't necessarily think that's been a bad thing either. But yeah, so when it comes to friends, like there was a my friend Jess, she was an aide for a year, my first year in the building, and we talked, and then she went to a different job. But she and I have actually kept it. We're becoming really great friends now. Actually, just cat like her. She actually kept her cat here while she was on a trip recently, and we're doing great. But she was also the thing is though we had something in common where she had recently also moved to Columbus and with someone that she was dating and didn't have a lot of friends here and wasn't from here. And so we were both kind of like looking for friends and stuff. And that makes it easier because I also realized like a lot of people in terms of adulthood, especially if they were from the Columbus area and maybe they left and came back or whatever, but they're like set for friends. Like they typically have friend groups already
Yep.
and they're not really looking to add to it. Like they might be an acquaintance to you, but it's hard to like really form like new like really close like relationships, like friendships with people who aren't really looking for it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I don't think those people that have always been here, it's not on purpose. They're not like trying to be unfriendly, but they just don't, it's just, they're just not, they don't recognize that you need a friend as much. Like they just, there's something there that they don't see it. At least in my, like, I don't know. I don't I hope that doesn't sound mean, but like, it's not on purpose, but it's just, I've noticed it's been harder to like reach out to people who are well established already. And kind of join in a friend group or something like that, like, and to be included in that way. Um, so at least that's me. I don't know. But I have like, so Jessica's a really, really great friend. I have other people that I would say are good teaching colleagues, good acquaintances. But I wouldn't call them like, they're kind of friends. I don't know. It's just been, it's harder. It's also harder when you're a teacher because you don't really have social time during the day with other
Hmm.
teachers because it's just like class, prep period. You're busy. You might have a 25 or 30-minute lunch with some colleagues where you're scarfing down food super fast and like you kind of talk to them for a little bit and then it's like bye, I have to do class, and then bye, I'm going home to my family, or bye, I'm just leaving. Like at the end of the day, like no one's sticking around, or they're coaching a team, or you have to go do this. So it's like I would say like teaching, I don't know, like some people get really great friendships from teaching. Like I can see some of people do it, but like That's not been my experience, just because you're so busy. Like, unless you have like some common planning time or something, like it's hard to like really get to know some of the teachers that are in my building that are like my age,
Hmm.
because you're busy. Like, unless and we have like a monthly little happy hour thing that like a social committee puts together, but that's not, I don't know.
And then you
So,
kind of hit something too when you said with the coaching, like as a fine arts director, you have rehearsals, concerts, other like more after school commitments too. So like it's not even like maybe on the weekend or like even on the weekends you might be gone to like a festival or something like that or like
yeah.
a competition or something that might be over the weekend. And so even then like the after hours might not work for you and the weekends might not work with you for you too, so like that's also something that gets compounded with being a fine arts director, so yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, and like and even me and like my band and orchestra colleagues, like we're all involved in like other music stuff that's not just our building, but like they're assistant high school, they're assistant like marching band directors, so they're like super busy in the fall.
Mhm.
And like, or I sing in a professional choir, so there's chunks of time where I have like no time for social stuff. Like, it's like anything that comes out of your school day that's like an extracurricular thing, especially in public schools, tends to not just be like, oh, it's like 2 hours a week, it's 1 hour. No, it's like something that becomes very all encompassing. Like, when you're in musical season, you're in it. Like, that is everything. Or if you're
Mhm.
in a big show choir program, like you're in it and that becomes like all of your free time and energy. And so I feel like that made it kind of harder too for these first couple of years, especially when I was doing show choir. Like the other directors, like I was friends with, but they were also all men too, which sometimes was they were really nice, like not, but I didn't have, especially like I just didn't have as much access to like making more female friendships as I've like through my workplace.
Yep.
I've just noticed, and maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe other people have different experiences, but it's just been kind of hard that way. So like other things that I've done, and I'm like not afraid to admit to this, but like there are some like there's like Columbus Girl Gang and like other like Facebook pages and different things that like people who are new to the area literally are like friendship application, like that you talk about yourself. Say like other teachers when you go to friends. Like I'm literally about to have coffee with a teacher from Gahanna on Tuesday for the first time. And I just said, hey, like there's a teacher page of like a teacher thread from that page, and I was like, I want more teacher friends. Who wants to get coffee? And she was like, me. I also teach music. Woo! Like,
Ooh.
so who knows? Like, it's sometimes you just gotta like look for friendships in like new places and weird ways too. Even though like it's kind of hard. I'm just like, oh, I should be able to like just make friends like easily. Like I should just have this friend group that just appears out of nowhere. And I'm like, that's not how it works. Like it's really not. And it's hard. So and I feel like I've actually had more luck in terms of like finding a romantic relationship more than a friendship because people are looking for romantic relationships. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like most people are like, yeah, like I want to date, and I'm not like unfortunate looking, so I'm like, okay, like I can get it.
What?
You know what I mean?
Nah,
Like,
look at the hair. Period.
yes. But so like I'm in a relationship now, and I have been for just over a year, and like that has also led me to meet more people and more friends because he has a lot of friends because he's from the Central Ohio area as well.
Mhm.
So it's like it's not why I have a boyfriend, but it is a nice perk that I also meet more people because I have a boyfriend. Like you know what I mean? Like his
Yep.
people are starting to become more of my people, and it's just, I don't know. It's definitely been, and it still is a work in progress to kind of establish myself fully outside of like an academic institution where I'm a student. Where I feel like when I went to BG, I met people who were all like me, and it was super easy to make friends and have a friend group. Like we had, like
Absolutely.
Aaron, like literally, it was like the Pastafarians. Like I
Mhm.
said, let's have a study group. Did we study? No, but did we start having weekly pasta nights? Yes. And the whole
Yes.
point was like, I'm gonna make friends by doing this. And it was just a bunch of music majors who all had a bunch in common, and we all lived within like 2 square miles of each other because it was a tiny town, and it was perfect and it was so easy.
Mhm.
And I think when you're in that higher education setting, and you're with all those people who want to do the same thing as you or very similar things anyway, you know, composition versus ed, performance, whatever. Like it's so easy to do that and like have that friend group. And so, and it's like now I'm like, yeah, I'm with a bunch of teachers, but they're not all music teachers. We all have different goals for our lives. Like, yeah, this is our profession, but like we don't talk about it all the time like we did in like music school where we're like, oh, music,
Yeah.
everything, you know? And it's
Hmm.
like some of these people, like I am lucky with my music colleagues. Like we're all within, when we started, we were all, I was a brand new full-time teacher, and we were all within like our first 3 or 4 years of teaching. And we like only one of us is the band guy's married, but like the orchestra teacher isn't. I'm not. Like none of us have kids. Like all of us are very much in the same vibe. So I feel like
Hmm.
a big sense of camaraderie with our department for sure. But it's also weird where I'm like, there are people my age and which I still like. I'm 28, and like there are people that teach at the school who are also unified arts teachers. Is what we call our like, or you know what you call specials in elementary school. We call it unified
Okay.
arts for
Gotcha.
secondary. That like one of the technology teachers is like has like 2 kids and is married and like all these things, and I'm just like that's wild, and it feels like hard to relate to the same people, like people who are my age and like are still teachers, but like our lives are wildly different. Like you can,
Hmm.
I think that's kind of what it boils down to. It's like in grad school, we were not all wildly different. Like some of us, some people maybe have just gotten married or engaged or something like that, but like nobody had kids, right? Like no, like you aren't,
No, no,
no,
nobody had kids.
nobody, like not even the doctoral people.
Yeah, they
Nobody
were
had
married,
kids.
but they
There
had
were
no
some
kids.
people who
Yeah,
were
you're right.
married,
Yep.
100%, but there were nobody had kids, and we were all like in this like very tight knit community, who and there was a lot of crossover between people for different projects and ensembles and things. So everyone, it was just like such a close thing. We're all in that same kind of work mode and like degrees and
Hmm.
everything. And now it's like, yay, teachers! And I'm like, oh my god, we are not all working towards the same thing. Like some people need this money. Some people their spouse makes a crap load of money and they do this for fun. Like, what? Are you kidding? Like, this is not life or death for you? Oh my god. Like, oh my gosh, you don't have to live on this salary? Holy crap. No wonder you happy. Like, like what do you mean? And then so all these teachers have like kids, and I'm still like I'm so tired at the end of the day. I'm like, props to them for doing it, but I was like, I that scares the crap out of me to have to teach full time, and if people have kids, like I think about this where I'm like, man, I'm getting home and I don't move for like 2 hours. Like I lay on the couch and I can't move for 2 hours, and I'm like, what if I had a child? Like,
Yes.
and they do have children. Like what do they do? Like how is it, are they okay? Like no wonder teachers drink. Like I see, you know what I mean?
Like, imagine you had the worst professional day of your life, and then you just have someone tugging at your pants leg, saying, "Mommy, I'm hungry." Like what? Y'all
Yeah.
are strong that have kids. That
Yeah.
is a different type of strength that I cannot relate to, or I don't think I can ever find. So
Yeah,
props to
like,
them.
and
Yeah.
I admire them, and that's the thing is like
Yes.
I'm not knocking them at all. I'm not
Hmm.
criticizing them like, ooh, why would you do that? No, I'm saying, oh my God, I have no idea how they are doing it. And I mean, I
Absolutely.
guess there's probably like two people. There's like two parents, and maybe a grandma. I don't know, but like
Hmm.
I am just like, whoa, like that is nuts. Like that is like the most daredevil shit ever. Like to me is to or yeah, I should say daredevil stuff ever, whatever. But like, oh my god, is to be a teacher and have children. And my dad did it, and I'm like, whoa, dude, whoa. Anyway, so I kind of got off topic, but yeah, but it's definitely like it's just wild, man. It's just wild. Like, and I would say I'm starting to settle in a lot better and feel more confident in myself now. Like, especially because like I feel I have a good hold of what I'm doing, like at work and like my personal life is pretty calm, and like I would like to have more of a real friend group here, but I do have
Hmm.
like I'm starting to get more people that feel like family and friends to me, and so that helps a lot.
Hmm. Yay.
And like so I'm feeling more settled, but it's taken me a while. And I don't know if that would be how everybody feels, but that's
Hmm.
definitely me. Like I'm gonna think it helps. Like I bought a small condo, and the fact that I own my home, I think that's something. And I've started to really make it. Aaron, you've okay. When you come down for New Year's, you're gonna be like, "Wow, your living room actually looks like a room you could live in. Like it actually, there's like furniture and pretty things." And I'm like, "Wow." So I think also like I did that. I did a lot of work over the summer, of, like doing some small projects to really make my own home my own and to make it feel homey. And I also think that in a way helped me feel settled too. Like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, like I don't have to move because my rent's going up. Like I'm not moving apartments again and all this stuff. Like a lot of the people that are my age are dealing with too, which is just hard. And I was lucky enough to, and I mean, I live in an apartment, I didn't buy a house or anything. Let's not get crazy. But
Hmm.
um, I own my own like apartment and I'm doing things that make it feel like I belong in this space. And I've kind of just like, especially this summer, because after the last year, like I felt I was just really exhausted at the end of the second year because I was doing too much. And I like made that decision at the beginning of the summer. I was done with show choir, and I called the director up, and we had a great conversation. And he was like, "I get it. It's a lot." Um, and once I did that, I really just started trying to make a lot of decisions about making my own life happier and healthier and more joyful. Um, and finding hobbies away from teaching and music too, like doing things. So I've been gardening all summer. I'm picking a lot of tomatoes right now. Um,
Okay.
and just literally seeing the fruits of my labor a little bit
Hmm.
too. And seeing my home look more beautiful. And so that's not really a social thing, but I think mentally that has also helped me bridge the gap, and feeling more at home here. And just, also like in other ways too. Um, this isn't really about friends, but I am now a member of my HOA board. I know I'm one of those people, which people like
Okay.
hate HOAs, but they had like an annual meeting in May at the end of the school year, and they said like, "Hey, we have a vacancy on the board. You just have to like come to meetings once a month, and there's little things I do here or there, but no one wanted to do it." And I just thought, I own a property here, and I'd like to be well informed of the financials of the HOA and just like be involved. And a lot of the HOA people are older, and so I thought I might be a good voice of a different perspective, from a younger, just to do it. And even
Yep.
doing that, like just being involved in my little community here has made me feel more at home. Like there are some people now that I walk out and they know who I am here and they say hello. And it's just like, and I say hi to them and we talk and like, and I go to these meetings once a month, but I also feel like I know more about my little community and how it runs. And so all of these things just like, and I'm still reaching out and trying to find some more, especially female friends,
Hmm.
is kind of the goal right now. But yeah, it's taken a while. I would say I feel like so much more settled now. But it took me like 2 years to figure that out, really. Especially with all the upheaval in my job, where I was like part time, and then not sure if I was gonna be full time. So then I was like interviewing elsewhere, and like I just didn't know what was gonna happen for a long time. And
Yep.
now I feel like I'm gonna be where I'm at for a while, and I think that I'm like pretty happy about it, ready to embrace it more, and just be really focused on that, making my middle school program really great, and just like enjoying where I'm at. I think is what I just need to do more of.
Awesome. Woo, you said a few words in that, and all of that, like, honestly, this is probably a topic that me and you have beat to death,
Yeah.
on the phone, but this is like, topics like these are one of the reasons why I wanted to make this podcast, because it truly is like both a lot of what you said about like finding things both inside of work and then outside of work as well are things that you just kind of learn. And I agree. Like, I talked to another friend who had moved to the Ann Arbor area. They're now moved on and in Minnesota for another higher ed type of position. But it took them about a year and a half, 2 years to kind of settle. And so I think that's just kind of the average time span. Another coworker also told me about that too. Took her about a year and a half to find her people after she bought her house with her husband. So I just think it's something that is like just trial by fire, but you have to actually go out and do things and meet new people and actively want to be a part of your community, whether it's your community at the place that you work or your community just like literally in your neighborhood or apartment. And so um, it's a very very tough trial, but it is something that I feel like you just have to go forth and see and do yourself. That you don't really get told about that aspect. It's more so just like focusing on a job, which is fine. That's also been another theme of this podcast series. Is like now that we're a couple years removed from undergrad, especially, but also grad school for you and me. I know like a big topic was like, oh, they didn't teach you this in school and stuff like that. But there's like, I also want to talk about the little things that like can't really teach, or it doesn't really come across in like a classroom setting, and that you don't really get to talk about until you're in it, and hopefully you have friends like you who we can
Mm-hmm.
just call on the phone and rant about.
Yeah.
All of those were really 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 solid pieces of advice that I've also kind of slowly been integrating into my own life, and I agree things have gotten a lot better the last couple months, and I feel a lot more stable after integrating them. Like next month, our community band is starting back up. I'm very excited for that. Even though I will be traveling a lot of September, and our concert, I think the first concert is like at the end of October, early November. So um, I will have to actually look at that music pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but I just want to say thank you for that. Like it was all you hit so many like great points.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, that about something that we talked about before that you've mentioned a couple of times now. You had mentioned that like because you were spread so thin that you were like wanting to put more focus on your middle school program. I wanted to talk about like your sense of, or the last topic I wanted to kind of talk about before we start to wrap up is I wanted to talk about how you've kind of managed that sense of not doing enough, and like um, the feeling of you went through like a state evaluation at the end of last semester, right? And how you kind of navigate that, because I feel like a lot of that is also more anecdotal. Like you don't really work through those things until you go through them, because it's just something that you can't really teach because it's all so personal and situational.
Yeah, so I mean, when you're doing a lot of different kinds of things, and this even goes true for people I've seen, educators who, like we talked about them, like having children, like having families and being like high school choir directors or band directors or something, especially at the high school level. It's not just me who gets spread too thin. I also think that people who teach at the high school level, because those programs tend to be really busy and really big too. And then if they have kids, like I have seen them, I mean, it's crazy. It's truly
Mhm.
crazy how much some of these, I mean, all educators do a lot, but like some of the out of school time commitments that you see at the high school level from arts teachers, it's like a second full-time job.
Mhm.
And um I don't know, I just want to make that point too, where like it's nuts. And that's the thing, I don't know, but for me personally, like I when you look at teaching, like you can always do more is the problem. You always feel like you should be doing more, you should be doing something better. At least for me, like I'm someone who has had really, really high goals for myself. Like moving out of grad school, I was like, I'm gonna go teach for a few years, then I'm gonna go get my DMA, and then I'm gonna go be a rock star at the college level, and I'm gonna be a big, huge like Dr. Anna Murcko, like choir director somewhere at Sun State University and be the best thing ever. And I'm gonna and whatever. And I didn't mean that in an arrogant way, but I was like, that's my goal. Like, I want to get that DMA. I want to get that tenure track position at a big university, and I want to be that like
Hmm.
great choral conductor, and I want to do that. I want to be that good. Um, and that hasn't changed. The want for being to be at the top level of where is has never changed. Um, and I think what kind of I hate to say it like this, but what kind of broke my heart last year was the fact that I could really see where I wanted to do better. And I was like, I don't feel like I'm performing like the Anna Murcko that I know
Hmm.
in some ways. And it like hurt my heart. It really, like, I'm gonna get a little bit like emotional, like thinking about it, but like, it hurt my heart because I knew I could do better. And I went, this is the best that I have at this moment, but this is not the best that I could be doing. And for not just like for the kids, for myself, like and I just saw myself falling short in some ways. Still giving myself grace for how much I was doing. Like it was the best that I
Absolutely.
could
Yep.
do considering I was doing all these things.
Hmm.
But I went, I don't want to feel like I'm falling short because I'm doing too much. So I was like, I got to cut back in some ways. I need to, and another thing that, considering like my background and some of the goals that I'd been thinking about, like I also, I interviewed and was a finalist for a couple of high school choir jobs last year. And um, one of them I really wanted. I'll be totally honest, I really wanted it. And I came very close. And it was really hard to get the no for that one. And um, but I think that the way it's worked out, like I think that's okay. Like it took me a while where I felt really crappy about it. But also I think if I would have switched to a high school position right now, it would have led to me doing still too much. Too much, being spread too thin when I still hadn't like gotten my program in the building that I'm at most of the time really
Hmm.
well established. So, and now I'm like kind of reaping the rewards of what these first 2 years have been, and like my numbers have doubled in 2 years in my choir program. And like there are some really huge positives that are finally coming together now. And it's like, yeah, I'm really glad that I have decided to pull back in some ways and that I kind of didn't get these other jobs, because now I would have never gotten to be able to sit here and enjoy like this program really coming together. And I'm already, even just from the first few days with the kids, I can feel it. I can feel it where I'm like, okay, we have arrived. Like this program had 90 something kids when I started. We are at 208 or something right now.
Okay.
And I mean, it's huge. It's huge. And I now have a select choir that'll start in October that's auditioned. And like I don't know. I just feel like I feel like this is going to be the year that I feel like I'm going to be the teacher that I know I can be in this position. And so, that's happening because I made certain decisions to, I reprioritized more like, I was like, what does my priority want to be? And what's going to make me feel better? Like, what's going to make me feel more successful? Because last year I really just felt like I was doing my best and there were moments of success, but they were fleeting, and I just wasn't feeling like I don't know, I just felt like as a teacher, I just wasn't able to get as far as I wanted to with everything I was doing. So, um, I don't even remember what your original question was, but yeah, like, but
It
it's
was,
just, yeah,
you
but
hit
I
it.
just feel like people who are new to this, like even if like middle school choir is not my ultimate goal. However, I think what I've learned that I really need to do, because I don't think I've let myself enjoy teaching as much as I should have these first couple of years, because I was thinking about what's next. Like, okay, well, hopefully I'll get a high school choir job, or I won't be here forever. So, like, thinking about this, like, no, I need to like plant. I need to grow where I am planted. And I think I have been kind of discrediting, not discrediting, but just like thinking about this as more of a temporary thing and getting ahead of myself in my life.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like there's just so much joy and like good teaching to be done. and like joy to be had and wonderful things that like need to be done at the level that I'm at right now. And I'm actually really happy that I'm still in the same position. And I probably will be for like a little while now. And I think that's going to be the best thing for me. And even then, like, I'll tell you, like the goals that I had walking out of grad school that I've already described, like, I won't lie, they're murkier now. They're murkier now. Like I think about if, can I go back and get a DMA somewhere and like maybe, but then I like now there's more like economic well and economic uncertainty in the states right now, but also just like uncertainty of like how do I do that? Because I'd have to stop if I go full time for a full DMA. I can't work full time for like multiple years,
Yep.
and like I don't know who's paying for that. Like like for me to not do that. And like what are the jobs going to be like at post-secondary institutions, especially in the States, or do I try to go abroad, but I don't really want to do that? Like I'm in kind of a long-term relationship that I don't want to just throw away. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're like, I want to have a personal life. Like I want to have a place and I just am feeling like I'm settled down here. Like,
Yes.
you know,
Yes,
so
absolutely.
yeah, like even for me, I don't have the answer to this, and I've gotten a lot better at just not having the answers to things these last couple of years, but I've literally been like, I want to be a huge, like I want to be the best I can be as an educator and as a choral conductor and this and that, but like part of the question that's in my mind is like, is the only way that I'm going to do that by going back and getting a DMA and and teaching at the collegiate level? Is that the answer? Is that the way that I'm at that top level, or can I do that in a K-12 setting? Can I? Because here's the thing, I was like, well, I can still have great choirs and I can still teach them really well and I can still be an amazing teacher. Like I don't know, I don't know what my answer is right now, but I also feel like I'm also realizing I'm like, well, you know, middle school and high school choirs and community choirs and all those things, they still sing at OMEA, they still sing at ACDA. Like, is it only choir, like is it only collegiate choirs that matter? No, not at all. More people are not in those super high performing
Mhm.
situations. Like, you know, and I did that for 2 years where I was like literally like the grad assistant in a large university. So I have like experience and it's great. I mean, the music you get to make and the pace you get to set and you know, working with really like trained mature voices is amazing. Um but I also look at it and I'm like I also want to have like a personal life, like a home life that I
Yep.
don't have to indefinitely put on hold for years and years. Like I don't know. Like I've just kind of been like I don't know, man. I it's the future goals have changed a lot, and I think that's okay. And I'm not
100%.
even saying that maybe they've changed for the moment, and then I'm gonna get more experience than be like, no, I really do want to go back to school. And but right
Mhm.
now, it's more like an I don't know, like I want to be I want to see where I am with this middle school job, and I want to get this program to the point where like the farthest it can go. Like I want to see it be like big and crazy good, and like really feel like I did like I couldn't do anything more with like middle school choir. Like, and I don't even know if there's a lid to that, like a top to it. Who knows? You know, I just want to feel like I've really like made it into something great, and then maybe I'll do something. Maybe I become a high school position, or maybe I won't want to do that. Like I don't know. I just feel like I'm a lot less rigid in like my future plans and like what I'm gonna do, and this is it, and da 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 da. You know. So I think the drive and wanting to be as good as I can possibly be is there, but I'm just trying to fit that into whatever context I'm in. And I think you know, it's not like success is not
100%.
defined by this one idea
Yep.
anymore.
It's not tied to a degree either. So, like, yes.
Not necessarily, yeah, like, and I have
Mhm.
3 college degrees. Like,
Mhm.
it's not like yeah, it's like I'm still very highly educated.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think I'm redefining success for me personally a little bit right now. And I don't really know what it is long term. Like, for me, what I'm going to be like, this is exactly what I want, where I want it. But I think what I want right now is just to be really great where I'm at. So,
Okay. Yes, I
yeah.
love all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is definitely like a 180 from our conversation like a year and a half ago, and we were
Yeah.
both like very like in just a what the hell am I doing type of
Yeah.
area. And so just like seeing like your confidence 100% back and everything like that is just it's so great to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely agree. It is, I've had most of this beginning of this year was my quarter life crisis moment because I finally gave up on the idea of like knowing what the hell is about to happen over the next couple of years because I'm similar. I've always had a plan, and even my original plan from when I was in high school with like getting my bachelor's and then two masters and then teaching for a little bit and getting a doctorate, that flew out the window a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But even now, I'm like still trying to make these plans. It's like, okay, I'll be here for this certain amount of years, and then I'll figure this out, and then I'll maybe do I want to get another master's or something like that. And the thought of a PhD still makes me want to puke. But I was like, do I want to get another?
Yeah.
Do I want to get another master's? And do I want to do this? And do I want to move here? And that blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I actually just want to be comfortable for a little bit. I just want to be
That's it.
comfortable
That is
for
it
a
right
little bit.
there. Like,
I just wanna my main job, I'm always thinking like you kind of mentioned it's like what's next, what's next. Like actually my main job, even though it's not music related, it's good. It's good to me. It works for me. And I'll probably have like a solo episode occasionally talking about that, but it's good to me. I like my team, I like where I'm at, I like the opportunities I get. I get to travel. I'm going to Houston, Atlanta, and New York next month.
mm,
So like fun stuff, but like, and I'm starting now that I've kind of redefined what I want from my music stuff, and not putting myself on a timetable with that either, and just kind of enjoying things and being sat in the area that I'm at. Um, it has gotten a lot easier. So you were saying that you weren't sure if you answered the original question, but this is definitely an answer. Like, how do you combat not doing enough? And it's to realize, like, you just, like, maybe stay stable, maybe stay there, stop thinking so much 10, 20 years in the future
yeah.
and be present so that way you can make a plan and, really dig in and do
Yeah.
better.
And
Um,
engage where you're at. Like, like
yeah,
grow where I'm planted. And
yes.
yeah, that's really what it is right now. Um, and just like explore the relationships and
Hmm.
and like even my current like romantic relationship, it's like I'm dating someone who's way completely. I always like dated musicians and teachers, and I am not doing that for the first time. And there have been some moments where it has thrown me for a loop. Like I was like, oh, like he just doesn't automatically know understand everything I'm talking about. Like, what do you mean? Like, I was like, oh, I have to explain things. Like, I have to, and it's also like that's another thing too. So he like works in an industry. He works like in a non-education industry where like you don't have to have a lot of degrees, and you can make a pretty good living, like, and you don't have to spend years and years in school
No.
with what he does. And like, and I had been around musicians and teachers, or my parents are both musicians or music educators, and it's just like that was not that they shielded me from life like that, but like I just didn't grow up seeing it. And so now I'm like, oh my gosh, like there are people who are not wrecked after their workday, like just exhausted. Like I'm not always exhausted from teaching, but there are days where it's like, oh my god, like it's just so much. Like kids need so much from you, you know? Um, and it's like now, not to say that there are not days like he definitely gets stressed out for sure, because he has to deal with some customers and lots of employees and things. But it's also made me realize I was like, what if I've had like just because I'm in Ohio and like we had some really crazy budget stuff going on, and
Hmm.
I'm an arts teacher, so when weird state budget stuff starts happening, you go, am I going to have a job? Like teachers think about that all the time. And like part of me was like, maybe I would not be a teacher if I got riffed. Like I had to like think about these things. Like,
Hmm.
so that's another thing too for like people who are newer. Typically, I mean it depends on what state you're in, but like typically people who get riffed are like the younger teachers. Typically it's by seniority. So just know like if you're dealing with levies or state budget changes, I've known people who have literally only taught for a year in a district because they got riffed immediately in the fall, and they knew the entire year that they were not coming back to that job. They just started, So I don't know. I had some of that kind of realistic things in my head where I was like, oh, like what if, and luckily some of it didn't get passed and things seem stable for now, but um, yeah, there's just a lot of realities that you have to realize when you start teaching. And like if I was a math teacher, I'd probably have less of a wonder if I will ever get riffed or lose my job due to budget cuts.
Mhm.
But something you gotta kind of think about when
Yeah.
things get rough. So I don't know, it's something else. I don't know why I got onto that tangent. I don't even know. I remember the question, but
You're
here we
doing
go.
great. You're doing great. These are all really great. These are all really these are really great points that you're making, and like I think the moral of this one, it did lose the plot a little bit, but the moral of this one I do like was because I think it's important too is to like to get out of your bubble a little bit and realize
Hmm.
like you do have to still like pay attention to things like this. Like my best friend, she's also teaching choir. And she was telling me about how Mississippi redid their like retirement plan stuff for basically like new educators. Like originally it was, and this I'm paraphrasing here, so if I get this wrong,
Hmm.
if for the 10 people that are listening, don't come for my neck in the comments. I believe what it was that in Mississippi, after 7 years of teaching, if you like go to another state for a little while and then do something else, and then you come back and you start teaching again, like your retirement is still kept, and so you can continue on. But now they've gotten rid of it for new teachers, to where if they leave at all, like they have to basically restart their retirement years. So like it doesn't count towards that. So it's like you have to be aware of that stuff going on. And again, it's something that they don't, like undergrad or grad school doesn't really prepare you too much for, because it's kind of situational, but also like not just about what's in the classroom, but also things about your career field that you have to be
Hmm.
cognizant of, and you have to be involved. Like especially for your first year or two, that's like you're head down trying to keep this program afloat or grow it or do whatever, and you're on a huge learning curve, and it seems so hard to try to get out of that bubble. But like you still have to think about career longevity, not even like where am I going to be at in 5 years, but also like retirement plans and other
Hmm.
things like that, and like what's
Financial
happening.
longevity. Like you have
Yes.
to think about, and that's a big. I mean, it's a big issue. We know that teachers aren't paid like super well.
Mhm.
I'm lucky enough that I'm in a pretty wealthy suburban district, so I'm doing okay. But like I
Mhm.
have a second job. I have that church job that is year round. That is, and I wouldn't have bought my little condo apartment without that extra income. Like that wouldn't have been possible.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like you just have to, there's just so much to the teaching field. Like you've got your own classroom that takes up so much information, but it's like, then how is your school run? How is your district run? What is whatever state you're in, what's your retirement system looking like? Are they
Mhm.
making changes to it? Um, and like, what does that end of career pension really look like for you? Like, and I've thought about that stuff. Like, I'm doing fine now, but like, if there would be some big changes in this state that would, you know, defund my pension or make it way less valuable by the time I retire, like, which honestly, like things have been changing in STRS Ohio, so like I have to pay attention to those changes, and it's like if enough changes happen that I feel like it would be too big of a negative consequence for me at the end of a career. Like, do I continue teaching just from the financial standpoint?
Mhm.
If I start to feel like my pension system isn't serving me well enough, it's just like, and that's one thing teachers they don't pay attention to. They're like, oh, it's a teacher's pension, it'll be great. You better pay. No, that is not a given at this point. Depends on state to state, and they make changes to it, and you better be paying attention. And it's hard when you're teaching all day and you got kids at home, and like, it's hard, and it sucks that like you have to be so vigilant about everything. But It's the way things are set up at this point. So yeah, it's wild. It's totally wild. Um,
Yeah,
so I don't
absolutely.
know.
It's just something. I like. I actually really like this topic. This is. I don't think this is something that I've even really thought about touching on or anything like that. So we can probably go on for another 30 minutes, but I want to try to wrap
Yeah.
up so that way you
Yep.
can at least enjoy a little bit more of your Sunday before you go back into the Lions Den next
Yes.
for the week. But I always like to kind of wrap up with a couple of like nicer reflective things, so that way because sometimes, especially the coffee that we just got off of, can be a little draining and like what's gonna happen. So I try to like do something nice, reflective. So it's like kind of an ending positively segment. But just four things. So the first one is, what are three things that you're proud that you've accomplished so far?
Just mean in my job, like professionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just really whatever you're proud of in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We'll keep it open.
So I am glad. One thing I'm proud of, and even this is super recent, but I really feel like I've matured a lot and I've already said it like three times, but I've really decided to be a lot more present in whatever I'm doing right now, regardless of what could or could not happen in the future. I'm someone who does like to plan like 47 steps ahead of myself, and I get really caught up in all that stuff. And I just realized I was kind of gypping myself out of the focus and presence that I want to have, not just for work, but for myself, my relationships, where I live. And I already feel like I'm starting to feel a lot happier with that as well. Um, Something else I'm proud of, like I just think I've just grown a lot as an educator. Like there's nothing like just doing it every day and realizing, and like I originally I was hired as like only a choir teacher, and I'm doing some general music, and that was hard to learn kind of how to do, and I'm still not super great with the general music because I just had no experience with that age group, but I do feel like I've had a lot of positives come out of teaching general music. It is something that is super creative and it can be anything you want to be. There's lots of directions to take it. So I've enjoyed I've made myself really recognize that like there's a lot of creativity that I have found in the general music classroom that has also benefited my choir classes. Like I feel like I'm able to pivot faster, and all of a sudden like certain warm-ups and singing things and exercises, I just have found new ways to do them and be more creative with them and mess around with stuff. And like wasn't doing that my first year. I started doing it my second year when I was doing general music, and I just had to figure some things out. Like there was no set curriculum, so I just
Hmm.
got to decide like, okay, this is what this unit's going to be on. Let me figure out how to teach it, and just started to get really creative with like, okay, we learned this little song. Okay, let's make a dance with it. Okay, let's do this with an instrument with the same song. Like using a piece of material and just using it in a million different ways and spinning it in different things. And so now I feel like I'm able to take like choral warm-ups or different things in the choir classroom, and just mixing it up in different ways and keeping it way more fresh and like fun. So like I feel like I've taken that what was kind of a negative in the beginning was, okay, I have to teach elementary and that's not really what I want to do and I don't have a clue how to do it. And it was definitely there was a lot of stress associated with me figuring that out last year, but I feel like there has been so much to learn and that it has definitely like benefited me as a teacher.
Hmm.
So I didn't get too bogged down in like disliking like elementary. I didn't want to do this. Not that I looked down on elementary at all. I just wasn't my thing. I think those teachers who do K-5 music and they teach six different grade levels every day are superheroes. Um, with all of that. So that's something else that I'm like proud of. Like I feel like I've really pulled from that experience to enrich my middle school and like vice versa. I feel like just the two age groups are definitely different, but I also feel like there have been things that I could cross over and I've been able to like recognize that. Um and I don't know, I don't know, I'm just proud of myself for like I don't know, just trying to not be a workaholic I think that's the because I've done that most of my life until now, and I grew up with parents and who still kind of are like workaholics. Like, and it's hard when you're a musician. You just like do everything and like are involved in all these groups and projects and all this stuff, and like you do it because you love it. Like for sure, like we're musicians, we love music, but they just do so much all the time, and like I started doing that too. Like that's the life, right? That was my example. Like a music educator, like my dad was always doing the musicals, and always doing this and all of that. And I'm like, now I'm doing it. And I'm like, he taught middle school full time forever, and
Hmm.
with a huge middle school program for years. And I'm like, how did he just do this? Like year in and year out. And he definitely loved it and everything. But you know, and I love it too, but it's just like I'm trying I want to have a bigger like I don't know. I just like not get away from just the constant work and worry and make
Hmm.
sure I'm just like fully embracing like more friendships, family, chosen family, like really paying attention to my personal life.
Yeah, that work-life balance. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like finding that work life balance. And I'm doing it now because I see a lot of teachers, especially music teachers, where they will run themselves ragged for like a decade before they realize they should cut
Absolutely.
back
Yeah.
and or much longer. And I'm not judging them for it. Everybody's got their own, you know, thing going on. But I've had from personal conversations, they're like, "Well, I'm glad you know you've cut back now. Like you see that now. Like good for you." And I've had like, or I've talked to a couple show choir parents who knew I wasn't coming back. They're like, "We really miss you," and they're like, "Good for you for recognizing that this was a lot, and you want to focus more on your own position." You're like your own full-time position, like that makes so much sense. I'm so glad that you understand that, like you made that decision for yourself. I've had people say that unprompted to me. um, so I think I'm doing all the right things. I really do. It's just hard to say no. And you know, it's not like I didn't like show choir. It was great. Like I love dancing, I loved being around the atmosphere of it. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's just like you just gotta like really prioritize like what's the essence of what's gonna make you happy in this job, because it's too hard of a job not to be happy with it. And if it means you do less, you do less. You know,
Absolutely.
and that's another plus of like being a middle school teacher. It's like I don't have as many automatic expectations of outside events and other things that I'm just expected to do. While a lot of high school things, there's more expectations there. And it's for the same salary. Like they're not making a lot more money than me, you know, like that's not. And so one thing that I am grateful about is like the fact that I feel like I'm learning how to be a really great teacher in an environment that is, now that I'm more focused on the middle school, like I feel like it's set up for more success. Where I think if I had switched into a high school role this year, I could have made it happen for sure. But um, it's almost a little bit of a luxury. I almost see it as a little bit of a luxury to just still be able to like stay a little more insulated and just focus on some more essential things for a while.
Okay.
So I still think I'll
Awesome.
teach high school at some point here, but I'm not as much in a hurry for it. Like take my time.
Period. Okay.
Yeah.
You've already given a lot of great advice, so I'll skip that one. But what's just something, again, this is a little open, what's something in the near future that you're looking forward to?
I am looking forward to well, we have the new auditioned group in my, so for work wise, I started an audition at the end of the year for like a seventh and eighth grade like mixed choir that's like top tier. And there's about 33 kids I put into it. We had like 60 audition for the first time. It was a really great turnout. I'm really excited to see what it feels like to have like a top auditioned ensemble at the middle school level, and has just amazing stellar students that are going to be in it. And I'm really excited to explore what that group can look like and what it's going to feel like. And it's going to rehearse outside of the school day. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited for that possibility. Um, and I'm just excited that you know, um, just I don't know. I just feel more calm, and I feel like I'm gonna embrace a lot more. I just feel more joyful about this job. Like this was the first time, this first start of a year that I haven't been nervous or like kind of scared to start. Like, oh God, what's gonna happen? Like no, I felt like, okay, I'm here, we're doing it. And there were some really great moments just in the first 3 days where I was like, yeah, like I'm here, I'm enjoying it, even as chaotic as that first week is, right? Like and it is, it's controlled chaos. But I really just, I'm looking forward to the joy that I think I'm going to feel for that. And then also, like, on the personal side, like, I feel more centered in that. Like I've already started making more plans to do more social things with people. And I have like the bandwidth to like plan that and like figure, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
or like I'm going to the Ren Fair on Labor Day with a big group of people and I'm going to Cedar Point on a day in October. Like there's planned with people and things that like, and it's like I am not scared to make all those plans and put aside all that time because I know I'm not going to be as worn out. Like I know, like, and so I'm kind of taking that energy that was part of show choir, and just like I'm not teaching any new subjects, which helps immensely. Um, and some that was just so much energy wrapped up into those having to teach new stuff and doing all that extra show choir that I was like, I get to redirect that into some of it going back into my middle school program and then some of it being for me. Like I was not filling my own cup and I'm ready to keep my cup full and be happier and spending time and more of that energy for myself. So those are the things that I'm looking forward to this year for sure. And like yeah, and that's about it. Yeah.
Yay. Okay. looking forward to hearing about it and how those things kind of unfold whenever we chat. But the last one, are there any plugs that you would like to include in this episode? So, like, any personal ensembles, a website, your choir social media page, if you have one, anything like that?
Not really. So this school's too new. I haven't done any social media yet. So, but it might come along in the next year or so.
Well.
Just it's hard when you start like in a new building and you're building something from scratch. Like I just don't that like hopefully this year I'll start getting some recordings and some videos that are a little better. So it's just something I have. Again, when you're spread thin, things like that just don't happen. Like you don't have
Yeah.
the so yeah, maybe that'll be something I can try and get done. But yeah, I don't really have anything to plug. Just like for new teachers, if you're listening, just like keep the faith. The first year is hard. Just expect to be tired. It is what it is.
Hmm.
And second year will get better. Unless you're forced to teach other new subjects, and then it's still kind of hard. But just try not to do too much. That's my plug. Do you know? And if some of us we get jobs where maybe you were aiming for a different age group or something for than what you thought than what you end up getting, and that's okay. And it's hard. It's hard not to get what you want, but just try to embrace it. Do your best. Like it's for the kids. It's for something that is so it can be all encompassing a little bit that is teaching. It can be taxing, but like it's so much more fun if you just like go for it. Like like just try not to focus on the trepidation of oh no I don't know what I'm doing, like this isn't what I planned. Just go whole hog and just like embrace it. Don't waste the time freaking out about it. Like you'll freak out on the way, but like just at least just just do it. It'll be things will turn out okay. And if you've got questions, ask other teachers. They're typically very supportive and understand how new teachers feel. So, yeah.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, thank you so much for this. This was a very, very fun episode. If y'all can't tell, this is pretty much how we always
It's
talk.
hard. Yes, it is.
Yeah, especially
Yep.
with all the laughing and how it gets very loud. So, this is
Yeah.
insight on our phone conversations.
Yes.
But thank y'all, my 10 people who hopefully are listening to this, and I'm excited to bring another episode next week. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sounds good.